Ah! All right. So this is funny. Hello, I'm Nephente. There is Carl, and here is Jonas. But I can't hear you guys yet. Let's see what we can do about that. Looks like you guys can hear me, right?
Clear.
And I can hear you now also.
Perfect.
Great stuff.
Hello, Cleveland.
Hello, Cleveland. This is the modern technology, and here we are. Well, thank you for joining this impromptu stream, which I started to pass my time a year ago because I thought.
Thank you for having us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
But like most people, I mean, I had no idea how long we were gonna live, in the alternative reality, and here we are, a year later, and still, it's still fucked, but it's getting it's getting unfucked, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, let's really hope so. But you guys, both of you, have been part of this stream before, and but that was a long time ago. And Carl, you were actually almost the first guest, I think the first guest.
Yeah, I think so. One of the first ones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like 1 year, year later.
How is the painting?
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. You're still painting.
It's still hold up, and but now we're just tired of the whole situation, and yeah,
it's fucking corrosive. I mean, honestly, it wears you down slowly, but it does. Even.
Yeah, but I mean, we're just spoiled here in Sweden because we don't have a proper lockdown as opposed to everybody. We have one of the most luxurious situations in the world, probably.
Yeah, most
we do, and
because I've really taken open until 8 at least.
Yeah,
and society is pretty much open. So
yeah,
but I've really taken advantage of that, and it's quite nice that it closes at 8. I mean, 10 would be optimal because then you will still feel okay the day after. But
the bars,
we've been quite
last autumn.
Yeah, the bars.
Yeah, I have to agree, because now you're not considered chicken shit for going home and get some proper sleep. Yeah. So maybe they should just keep that.
Yeah.
But actually, 8 is not that bad either, because I'm not a huge fan of staying at the pub for a long time. The thing that happens now is that like at 8:30, people are meeting up outside the bar and going to after parties.
Yeah.
So,
but if it closes at 3, people still do that. So it's. I think yeah.
Well, but I don't usually go to after parties all the time. But every time I went out, the few times I went out during the pandemic when the pubs closed at 8, I ended up at an after party every time. So
yeah.
And I prefer a home party. So for all I care, they can actually, yeah. I don't mind either way. I don't like the pub that much.
No.
But I do like to be more social than we are now. Even if we have a semi-open or pretty much open society in Sweden, it's starting to get to us here as well, and to me as well. That I have been much more isolated than I usually am. I guess
it's also a feeling of isolation. I mean, now you can't choose it. To choose isolation, fuck people and stay home. That's a nice choice. But when you're
exactly,
but it's like you go to the record store and they have one record. You might want to, have 2 different ones so you can choose something. But when you can't choose, it's gonna fuck you up a little bit. And Jonas, you were part also very early on when we confessed about our past in Jönköping, Nässjö, where we stem from.
Yeah, the Jerusalem of Sweden.
Yeah, it didn't work, did it?
No, it didn't go fully through.
But actually, we're all of Smålandian descent, aren't we? Carl, aren't you from, you know...
Öland.
Yeah, but
So pretty much it's across the bridge from Småland. So.
But is it its own landscape, or is it smaller? Ah, okay, fancy.
Yep.
Well, okay.
I'm from this exclusive island, the luxury resort island across the bridge from all the rest of Sweden.
Yeah, the hillbillies of Småland.
Exactly. But there's just as many hillbillies on Öland as well. So
yeah, well, yes, Sweden is pretty much hillbilly country, most of it. And
it is.
And now we're in Stockholm, all three of us, and making that hillbilly as well. So I mean, it is what it is. But it's been a while since we met. So can you just update me a little bit? What I mean. I know you guys haven't been out touring, so that much is, you know,
obviously no.
no. But how have you passed your time? You haven't been streaming, both of you. You've done other stuff, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I basically worked my ass off last year, and that's more or less what I did. I work in I don't know the English word for it, but it's like groceries for food, and we send out to the major stores and stuff like that.
So like logistics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And well, people won't stop eating. The few restaurant customers or clients we had, they went down for sure, but like the major gross companies, they went up instead. So I had plenty to do. I think I worked like in average 12 hours a day for a year.
Living the dream. That's
yeah, that it was horrible. Yeah, and finally the body said enough, so I actually switched. I don't know the English word for that either. Tjänst,
like
the line of work I do.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I've been doing. Musically, it's been standing still more or less, at least officially. I've been rehearsing, of course. I've been more creative than usual.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah.
I haven't had at all any creativity, but yeah, well, it's different.
Yeah, I guess it's because I bought. That's a good thing about the pandemic. You have more money than you usually.
Exactly, you can't tour, so you get rich.
Yeah, so I bought like a home. I had a home studio before, but I bought some fancier machinery for that, and I guess that made me more creative. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, gadgets are fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm now to the level where I switched my light switches to Wi-Fi controlled light switches. That's the level of it. And I even bought like a Wi-Fi connected like fire alarm, like smoke detector.
Okay.
And why would you ever need that? The only thing I can check is the battery, and that's all. I mean, I guess I maybe can trigger it somehow by using some other device if you push these 3 buttons in the kitchen and but you got to do something, right? So yeah, so when you guys are over beer, I can showcase my awful Wi-Fi controlled switches. Life is good.
I would love to see the fire alarm go off.
Yeah. It's but also to do like the first off, hello to everybody who's joined the stream. There are familiar faces and some new faces, so that's nice. Always feel more than welcome to write in the chat, because we seldom know what the fuck we are doing or saying, and I never.
I can hardly see the chat. I have to like.
But
do like this.
That's how we want you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if there, I will pick it up if there comes any direct questions or like threats or marriage proposals, stuff like that. But it's good to see that some people have found a way here, so that's always nice, and always feel like if you have something you want to express or share with people, just do it. Kurt de Rocher says that JKPG. which is of course like the best letter combination in Sweden, which is like the
Yeah.
abbreviated Jönköping. So that's nice. But you guys, I'm gonna switch things around a little bit. See if that goes. Most likely I will fuck things up now. But I was thinking we should actually play something music-wise from your past, which is also when I sort of got introduced to the both of you together. I mean, Jonas, we met a million years ago. But I think the first time I met you, Carl, was when Deviant was headlining the first gig I arranged.
Yes.
And the first gig that Netherbird played.
Right.
And
Good time.
it was a good time, and I lost a lot of money. So it was a good gig.
Yay.
But actually, that gig we only lost 4-digit amount of Swedish crowns. So that's that's peanuts. We
doable.
later on we did a gig with Grave, where your other band, your new Diabolical was part of it. Yeah, that we lost more money. But I mean, you always lose money when you arrange shit. But for me, as long as everybody's happy and the other bands are, relatively happy as bands are, then it's fine. But arranging gigs when you're an amateur like me, that's bad business, really bad business. But that was how we met. So I was thinking maybe we should like try and play some Deviant, because not everybody knows this band, but everybody should.
Jonas, should we give an introduction to Deviant?
I think you
Sure.
should.
Heard it. It was. I came in later. You were there from the beginning. It was founded back in 2000. I don't know. 6, maybe 7.
6 or 7. Yeah.
After Emil Dragutinovic and Legion quit Marduk, they wanted to do something together, and they started Deviant.
Exactly.
They recruited you on guitar, and Thomas, who is now in Sornheim.
Exactly.
also
And the guy
guitar,
named
and-
Robert on bass.
Yeah, Robert
From
from,
Scar Symmetry.
Symmetry on bass, and later when he joined Scar Symmetry, that's when I came into the picture.
Exactly.
And Deviant released 2 albums. We did some tours. Those are some really nice tours, because nowadays I'm always involved in arranging the tours, and I'm like a responsible adult person doing professional shows. Back then we were just drunk and
Yeah.
so we're responsible. It
But
was
like
so
a-
nice when you look back at those tours. It was like
But which
we didn't have
bands?
to do shit. It was so luxurious.
Not very luxurious, but you toured with Belphegor, right? You
Yeah.
did a fairly long trip with Belphegor.
I think that wasn't the longest one. The longest one I did was the one with Dayside, Vader, Samuel, Order of Enyad, and Diamanta, and us. That was a huge, 2 nightliner, big package tour. Everything served on a plate for us. Stupid, but that was so everything served for us, and we were just drunk.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. I think that was a running gag on the whole tour. Like every time something went wrong, like, sorry, Swedish drunk.
yeah. I mean, but isn't that also pretty typical? Like in those days, you just of course you were happy that it happened, but these days you would be completely blown away by the offers like that. The tours under those circumstances.
That was in 2009. So
And
things are different now.
Yeah, and you guys were on Century Media, right?
Yeah.
So those are the ones that are going to shut down this stream in a little bit when we play the song.
Probably.
You never know. You never know. In general, I'm going to quit streaming on Facebook. I'll do one more, but then never again. Because Facebook, I mean, they try. I understand. They try to, preserve copyright, but in the end, they just make it impossible to promote music. So YouTube, Twitch is just easier. But we have a video here, which is like a marvel of a video. Also, of course, you guys had a sense of humor when you made it, and that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and it was like it's. To me now, looking back at it, it's like super cheesy and but really funny. It's really tongue in cheek, but if you look at it, if you don't see the tongue in cheek side of it, and you think we were being serious, you can almost look at it as such classics as "Ode to a Haunted Wood" by what is it? Enthroned, right? Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this video.
It's a super classic video.
But I mean, and also this is the beauty. As time passes, it sort of forgives you a little bit. I mean, the first video we made with Netherbird, the Blackest Breed, not our proudest moment. There are some pieces in that video we would have done very differently. But I mean, and we were not humorous. We just, didn't know better. But now, 10 years later, it doesn't really bother me at all because it's sort of impersonal in a way. There's a question here from Non-Servian Records, Ricardo. Jonas, are you now active in Chaos Wielder?
Yes, I am very active in Chaos Wielder.
You need to say something about Chaos Wielder, but first we need to multimedia this video, and since this is so superbly produced, you need to just be silent, otherwise you will disturb the video.
I will use this moment to have a technical pause.
Do it. I will go and get snooze. Yeah, I will pause it here, not to, because the video is out there, and fuck, it's good. I mean, the stuff you guys, I mean, not literally the video. The video is fun. I actually think it's very fucking important to be able to have a sense of humor. It's not forbidden, but damn, you guys really made some. It's so special, the stuff you did. I really like it. It's
You want to know a fun fact?
Yes.
The priest's robes. Those are my curtains. That I had. I took down my black curtains, and he had wrapped them over himself. And that's how we MacGyvered that. We're really impressed by the director and all the special effects he managed to do. Rasmus Tilsitis, he's actually doing some really cool independent movies nowadays, and he did some years back. He got some buzz because he did a Star Wars movie, an independent Star Wars movie.
He's a really skilled guy.
And we didn't expect him to when we said I talked to him about when we're gonna do this video, like, let's just all guns blazing and do something silly with a priest and everything. And he's like, yeah, sure. And then we got the video, and there were like legs flying and knives in the head. Like, what the fuck happened?
And it's Monty Python stuff.
What did he do? And it was much more special effects heavy and better than he thought. But I think the result is really, it's really funny.
It's funny, and the music also fucking stands the test of time. But sometimes, I mean, you never had the time to fuck up, Devian. So you were like good until you stopped. That's the beauty when bands don't go on forever, I guess. But I really think I heard the stuff that you guys wrote as a 4-piece, and fuck that those. I don't know if it was demos or if you actually released an EP or something. But
we didn't release anything. But we had some new songs that we actually. I remember we played some new songs, at least one new song on that gig we did together in 2009 or 10. Yeah. The gig you mentioned, where you were doing the lead vocals then, Jonas.
Yeah. It was super cool. I can't hear you, Jonas. You are very, very quiet.
Whew. Finally. We can, yeah.
Now we can finally say, I'll see if there's anything I've done. I don't think I've done anything to fuck up your audio. I'm sorry, sir. Can you just refresh or restart or do something? Well, but you're still here, so we're two.
Yep. But we're supposed to do some kind of confessions, right?
We are gonna do confessions, and because I was thinking, in the end, I want to play 2 tunes, one by your current band and one with You're the Goat. But in between, we can definitely say a few words. I will just see if I can get Jonas back in the image. See what happens.
Do you hear me now?
Hear you, and now we see you. Okay, so I will just address a few things here in the chat. Just learning that Zorn was in Devian. Ancestral Sweden strikes again. Yes, Kurt, that's how we roll.
That's how we roll.
Emil Wikström hälsar. And it was a really good song. Yes, Devian was a fucking good band. But sometimes, it's like Nicky said when he stopped helicopters. It's like, yeah, Beatles existed for 8 years, and we all think it was like forever. Helicopters existed 13 years. That's a lot. But these days, bands never quit. But they don't always stay, hungry. But confessions. Should I start with a confession?
Go for it.
Do it. What's on your mind, my son?
I am such a hypocrite because I have this dream and I thought, I find so much new, fun, great music. But I am lying because all the good albums that I go back to all the time came between 1989 and 1994. After that, I only heard pretty good music. But they don't strike me as much. I think the last album that really hit home for me was Slaughter of the Soul. And that was 95, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that is a fucking confession. But I'm working on it because confession should also lead that you will amend your ways. Exactly. So I'm repenting by actually trying my best to listen to new music and to get it. But I still... Either music was fucking magical during those years, or it's an age thing. It's hard to be as influenced by music as you grow a bit older.
Yeah.
But that's my confession.
That actually ties in. That actually ties into one of my confessions.
Confess myself.
If you do 10 Hail Marys and listen to 10 new albums, and your sins have been
absolved.
You're forgiven. Okay? Yeah, absolved. So my confession is that I think that metal has stagnated, and a lot of it is boring as shit. Take that from someone who has been listening to every album that was being released for a few years back when I was a metal editor at Spotify. When I literally listened to every month, I listened to every metal release that came out for a few years, and that was a few years back. And since then, I listened to pretty much that's another confession. The past year, I haven't listened to. I've listened to like 3 metal albums or something. I don't listen to much metal right now, and the reason is twofold. One, I know how many albums I need to sift through in order to find something I really like, which is like one decent album per 100 albums. And the second thing is that, and it ties into what you said, that you haven't heard anything that really resonated with you since the 90s, is that I think that metal has gone from being all about pushing boundaries and finding new, unique ways of expression as nowadays it's more about following a beaten path.
Yeah.
there are still bands who are being copycats of stuff that came out in the 90s, and that's fucking people who have been. I mean, that's a long time ago, like 20 plus, 20, 30 years ago. People are still copycatting that, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that per se. I think if you're being honest with your music and you say like, yeah, I want to play old school death metal, that's it, or you want to listen to that, fine, but that's not for me. I really enjoy bands or artists who are willing to try something new, who are willing to push boundaries and not being afraid to fail, because I think that's a big thing, because the metal genre is extremely conservative, and bands that try something new are often shunned for like 10 years, and then they were so original. You have to be able to have pushback for like a decade, and then people are gonna accept you if you do something different.
We were just watching a video where a lot of people commented because Legion was in Marduk. Of course, there was going to be like a setback of Marduk fans coming and seeing this video, and there was a glimpse in the eye in this video, and yeah, metal people can't handle that. I'm not generalizing, but a lot of people can't handle that because metal is so conservative.
It's become very conservative, but I don't know why. I actually don't know why that is, because
I think it's actually on one hand it's a strength, because metal has a very kind of strict formula and a strict culture that people can embrace fully and then be part of something like a club, like a big family, a big metal family. And we listen to Iron Maiden, Slayer, and old school death metal, old school black metal, and that's it. And then you have something safe that you can always relate to, and you can be safe in that space. And that's also why bands can have a following and a career for many, many more years than artists in other genres. So that's good for people like us, like older people who have been playing in metal bands for 20 plus years, that we can still have an active career. If we would have been playing pop music or electronic music, we wouldn't have been playing. We wouldn't been playing. We would have been forgotten by now. So that's a strength. On the other hand, it has this other effect that when you move away from what is known and familiar to these people who are clinging on to this concept of metal for safety and familiarity and sort of brotherhood, then you are challenging some of their sort of core values. If you add like new elements to the sound, or challenging what metal is supposed to be, then people get don't touch my Slayer, or don't touch my Iron Maiden, don't touch my safety, you know.
My tralala.
I won't touch your tralala, and I won't touch.
But I always like bands who like to challenge and during my years at Spotify, I had to come to terms with that a lot and see that because I have the same mentality myself. It's like I heard some like something like really out there, like Igor or something, when they popped up, like, what the fuck, this is horrendous. And then, okay, that's your conservative metal Carl speaking. And then I really had to challenge myself and open up to new bands. And I really found new stuff. Like, for example, during those years, a band that I learned to appreciate was Architect. Which is sort of like a more metalcore band. I wouldn't before that I wouldn't touch metalcore with a stick, but I managed to embrace some of it, and that's one of those that I get this, and I'm always challenging people to fucking open up your mind and listen to some new stuff. And I think that's part of the reason why I've gravitated for the past year at least. I gravitated away from metal, and I don't listen to it much.
I think it goes both ways. I mean, there's something about the classic bolt throw that makes you like, this is so safe and everything, you know, it's like the
Yeah.
AC/DC of death metal. And I really, really like that. But like you said, exploring new boundaries and just trying to make it a bit more, I guess you can't make it much more extreme, but you can make it more psychedelic or like, I can't remember the name. That there's a French black metal band that help me.
Gris, Bar.
There are a few.
There are a few.
What, Deathspell Omega? I don't know.
Deathspell Omega, yeah.
Yeah.
They did an EP. That's the last thing I heard, and I think this is early 2000s and or somewhere around there, and that's amazing because it's so out there and there's so many elements and they dare to be technical instead of just dirty, and I think that's amazing.
I mean,
there's not really.
That's an interesting example for sure, because they managed to balance the thin line between, in the case because they're a black metal band, they managed to balance the line between being too crossing the boundaries of what's acceptable for what is black metal, but somehow staying within what is acceptable for black metal fans, but being way outside in many regards. And that's a really thin, the line to try to find that kind of balance, that you stay within, you are safe enough, but you are still outside of the box enough to be daring and pushing boundaries. And they are very different, and they managed to do that. What they do is, I don't even have any idea how they fucking tune their guitars. I don't know.
I don't think they even tune their guitars.
No, they don't.
But they sound amazing, and they're really one of a kind. But I can say, as part of what I do with Diabolical is influenced by Deathspell Omega, all the dissonances and some of the stuff. I think I've even ripped off a Deathspell Omega riff somewhere, but they're a really interesting example. That being said, I try to challenge myself a lot when I write music for Diabolical, to find that balance between trying to push some boundaries but not overstep them, so that people are gonna, oh my god, they have flutes and children
how
singing.
fucking saxophone.
How dare you have flutes?
How dare you?
How dare you? Exactly. But it's a really difficult thing to try to stay on that balance, to make people accept what you do in a metal context, but still try to push boundaries.
And some bands have this. I don't know if it's like they have this spine that makes them. They get away with stuff. Vreit was mentioned here. That's a band that, they use a fucking cowbell on the Krieg album, and it's rock, but still it's undoubtedly blackish at heart somehow. And they also do pretty innovative stuff within this very formal box. And then we have a lot of other bands that don't even try. And they don't have to, I guess. I mean, it's better.
As long as you are being honest and you have a conscious decision. Fuck HM2 death metal, just like it was in the early 90s. Fucking love it. I don't want to do anything different.
No, fine.
I'm just gonna go for that. And be honest. But as long as it's a conscious choice, that's fine. I can't judge anybody who wants to do that.
No.
But on the other hand, I think a lot of bands would probably be beneficial for them to have an honest conversation with themselves. Would it be good for me to try to push a boundary here or there, maybe?
Yeah. I've always been a really big Voivod fan. Well, not always, but once I got into them, and that was really hard.
It must have been really hard. That's almost a confession for me, because I love Voivod, but I still can't understand them.
No, I think I understand it now. I just knew that this is one of the bands I really want to like, so I had to force myself for a while.
Yeah, it's like mustard. You have to work it.
Exactly. And I think they're one of the bands that really pushed boundaries. I mean, when they were in the thrash scene, they didn't sound like any other noise records bands back then, because they used dissonance and they used lyrics that were out in space and shit. Then they started doing Pink Floyd covers when everyone else was doing Batman covers, or the cover of the Batman theme. And they just kept on doing that. And I think today is when they got their like approval of the big audience, so to speak. I don't know if it was because of Jason being in the band, or people just finally accepted them as a really awesome band, because they are. And when you listen to the riffs, it's so far off, like you have no idea what they're playing, and I'm not even gonna try to play that because it's no point.
Yeah, but they always felt very authentic and very, a little bit highbrowed. So you could never say I don't like Voivod because they're not having enough double kick drums. I mean, then you sound like an idiot. But not everybody. I never been able to really get into. I never been able to really embrace them. I mean, I respect.
To be honest, me neither. Me neither. While they are just the kind of band that I really appreciate. Usually, for some reason, and I tried. I never got it with Voivod either. But that's the kind of band that I usually would like. Yeah, you found something unique. Great. Yeah. That's awesome.
It is awesome.
And I have to hat off to them because they really did and are still doing so.
And it's awesome. Even if I don't get it, I can still respect that. And
yeah, exactly.
And it's like, to be honest, Tool. I've never been a huge Tool fan. They're this type of band that are too perfect for me. I always needed the gritty, shitty, sort of half out of tune, half out of beat, sort of gritty shit. I always loved that. But that doesn't make. But I do enjoy. I saw them live 12 years ago or something like that. I was completely blown away. I mean, it's like it's art. This is art. What I see. But it doesn't really speak to me the way that Bosom spoke to me. But I can still respect it and also really be happy that they are there, because they also have influenced many bands to try new stuff. And I think it's all based on the fact that And Justice for All had a different drum sound, and then something just exploded, and we got all these cool bands that sort of just built on that. And I think Ginger, for instance, extremely cool band, but I don't like them because it's too perfect for me. They are too. It's too clean. I mean, and I don't think it's super cool that she's a girl, because she's a front man of a band, and that's that. She's great regardless of gender. She growls like a fucking god, and she sings like I could never sing. But they are so proggy and so fucking perfect. So for me it doesn't work, but I love the fact that they are there and that they get success, because that shows that there is still hope, I think, because they are not a generic ripoff. Sorry,
but I think I think you're onto something. The perfectionism in recordings today, I think that it takes away the charm a bit when everything is, into detail, like perfect. It leaves no room for mistakes, and then it doesn't sound human, and it doesn't sound inhuman either. But it just doesn't do it for me either.
It's a bit too clinical, and I love a band that, they play 5% over their capability, and they're just so happy that they made that take.
In the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost hear that. Oh fuck, is he gonna make? Yeah, he got to the fucking break. Ooh, again. That never happens, because now you see a 7-year-old girl or boy who plays blast beats, and they play everything, but it's too fucking perfect. I want the drummer to almost die from fatigue, because he has no technique, and he's just pounding his way through that fucking song. That is too complicated for him. And the vocalist, he will never nail that shit live, because he's just drunk anyway. For me, that has... but Ginger can take they could take any of our band's songs, and I'm sure they could nail them within a few hours if they just took them on. They would make them perfect, but I'm not sure it's going to be better. But they could easily. But I couldn't learn what she does in G. I can spend a whole lifetime. I wouldn't be able. It wouldn't be close.
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to if we're talking recorded music, there's something, you're onto something, and with Diabolical we're definitely guilty of playing too clean.
But you play technical.
There's something very special. If you take a band like Dark Throne and their albums recorded with like the drums recorded like one microphone and the shittiest possible conditions, but when you hear the recording, there's something so genuine about it that you can't deny it.
No.
It's not because, and I think that's the other extreme of the spectrum. And I think it's really hard to find the sweet spot, and it's also different from genre to genre, of course, where you should be on that spectrum from being metronome perfect, everything is produced, or Dark Throne, Burzum, you have one microphone recording that sounds like shit, but there's something about it that is really, that has a quality to it that is very genuine for some weird reason. And I think a big challenge is to find what is right for you.
Of course.
And it's a big challenge because today it's so easy to edit the shit out of everything to sound perfect, which, like you said, Jonas, then it's easy to end up in the sort of clinical, dehumanized production.
Yeah.
So it is really tricky to find that sweet spot nowadays, because now you have all the too many possibilities really to make things.
You have too many channels. I mean, that was a limiting fact in the good old days. I mean, I think Bloodfire Death is recorded on 8 tracks, but it's of course it's like bounced down and stuff. But you had like 4
the
tracks.
The old ping pong.
Yeah, 8, exactly.
The old ping pong.
Where you also lose a little bit of synchronicity. It's great. Or you had 16 tracks. The Fear the Future album, which sounds horrible. We recorded that in Sunlight, but then he expanded, so we had 32 channels on two different tape recorders that didn't sync.
Oh,
that was beautiful when we transferred that to mix it, and half of the channels are just 1 minute too short on the album. Okay. I guess we're gonna stretch whatever doesn't have a tone. I guess that's the drums then. But the shit happens. But so I think, I mean, now we can appreciate. But if you don't have so much, you really got to work it. So Burzum, Python really had to work everything. They really maxed it out. While as today you can always put another choir track, and in the end you have these vast walls of guitars and stuff. But in the end, it all boils down to, is it a good song or not? And I think that's because at the end of the day, it's still, you have 10 seconds to. I mean, this is why the song I'm gonna play by Year of the Goat, it just has, it has a fucking, I can't even sing it in right tone, but it doesn't matter. There is a guitar thing there that just sticks to my head, and
that one.
That one.
Dueling banjos.
The banjo riff.
But take any Iron Maiden song. You know exactly which song it is after 5 seconds, because they are actually different. I can admit to the fact that not every Netherbird song is that recognizable, and you understand that when the drummer has managed to push shuffle on the backing tracks when we're playing live, and we start playing the wrong song to the wrong backing track, and then you realize, okay, so some of the shit we do is just too similar. So you come to a break, and then you realize, okay, fuck, it's the wrong song. Shit happens. But I mean, just imagine how many songs Iron Maiden have thrown away in order to have these songs. So I mean, I don't know. There must be 500 unwritten songs, or 5,000 maybe. But yeah, in any case. But they are also not one of these overproduced bands. At least, you know, they can fake it to sound organic. And if it's expensive enough, and one album that I think, because I know that Nurgle was speaking about this, you know, it's too much production and he wanted to go more organic. And on The Satanist, I actually think that's an album that's very well produced, but still has some organic feel to it.
Yes, it does sound a bit more organic. That's true. Yep.
But we are running not out of time. I will keep you guys a little bit longer than 9. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Of course.
Because I need to just play 2 songs with you guys, just a bit of each, so people also, you know, get the faces connected to what you guys are doing now. So
yeah, sure.
Bear with
Do
me.
it.
And that's your past. we are not gonna stay in the past. So now I'll do the banjo, I think.
I'm going for the technical pause again.
Do that while we listen to you playing the banjo. That's loud. Yes. And since the question came up there, this is Year of the Goat, which this man is playing guitar in. Banjo. Are you guys audible?
What?
I'm just seeing if you guys, I can hear you, but I can hear you. Year of the Goat, that's correct. And there was a question here also. Have you guys listened to Death Void Terror? Hey Carl från GBP. The Horrible Horrible Bright. I have not heard Death Void Terror. I will look it up.
Death Void Terror.
And there is the stream offline on Facebook. That's thank you Napalm Records. Yeah. But now I can't hear you again, Matson.
Good, finally.
Yeah. This trick works every time. Restart something and I will re-add. And, yeah. But this is the reality. But I can't sing the songs we're mentioning. You have to hear them in order to grasp a band. And I think they're a little bit too trigger happy with the copyright bots actually. But yeah, well, whatever. It is what it is.
Now I could see the chat while Jonas was away. So now I saw. Okay.
And now
hello GBP. Now I get it. No, the Death Void Terror. No, I haven't heard it.
Me neither.
Let's check this shit out. I'm fucking things up here. Copy solo. Yeah, well, this is what happens. I've worked with IT, but it doesn't help. Come on. All right, here we are. It's a lovely song. I love it, but it's hard to promote music these days because there is, you know, they don't want to be sued, Facebook, so they have these bots that check out stuff, and well, it happens. But it works on Twitch and it works on YouTube. It's just Facebook they are extra sensitive. So fuck Facebook, I say. But in any case, great song. I love it. It's been around, but that's one of those tunes that, you know, make me rediscover rock music every time. You know, this is why we do it. This whatever it is we are doing. But you strayed more into the rock and, you know, those the darker rockscapes, right?
Yeah. Me personally, I think I left like 20 years ago the extreme metal scene. There's a few bands I still try to check out, and when I joined Deviant, I had already left. So I thought, like, I'm gonna give it a last try, and it worked pretty good. So I was talking about Bolt Thrower earlier, just because I love them so much. If they were still around, I would still buy their albums. And I think Autopsy is also like one of the extreme bands that I still check out. Other than that, I don't care much for either black or death metal that much. I've never been into black metal actually. But yeah, we're in the same dark pool as those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I saw that you're confirmed for a gig in Germany in late autumn, right?
Yeah, November.
Good. Let's hope it fucking happens.
Yeah, I think that would be the first. If so, if this vaccine thing works, then it might actually happen. I'm not having my hopes up.
Don't quit your day job just yet.
Nah.
But, and because I'm a little bit still in this, you know, the scene is complicated. You hate it and you love it. It's like a Stockholm syndrome in a way, because you're stuck with your captors. Because I mean, I love this music and I love what we're doing. At the same time, I'm also part of the problem by admitting that I don't listen to many records released after 1995. So I mean, but I'm working on it. My confession was that's how it used to be. The new Johan Nephente will be a person who... But I have been also, like you, Carl, I've not been listening to much metal last year. And right now I'm so down in synthwave, it's ridiculous. Because there I find this extreme innovation that I miss in my modern extreme metal.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's more extreme, because I certainly hope that the kids will shock us even in the future, because it can't be that, you know, grindcore was the most extreme that mankind could ever come up with. I mean, for fuck's sake, something's got to level that at some point. But right now they seem to be doing other stuff than playing as fast as possible. They're doing something else. I don't know what.
Yeah, but there's always like this counter movements to everything, and I guess now that metal has already since a long time ago tried to be as fast and extreme as possible, there needs to be something different that moves in counters that. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head what that would be right now.
I think the Doom scene is a part of that. I mean, Doom just exploded a couple of like 10 years ago, and I think that's a counter movement.
Yeah, and there it's also I have to say it's not so easy to find all the good bands, but there are a lot of good bands, and
of course,
it's just like with stoner rock. I think there are some fantastic bands and a lot of people who just grew a beard and they play the same riff, but it's a little bit more lackluster. But I guess that happens to every scene. At some point it will stagnate, but then it will at some point return, I guess, also. So it needs to be... The question is where stuff is happening. Right now, Iceland is where it's happening when it comes to the more extreme metal, it seems. That seems to be...
Yeah, they've been on a roll for a number of years. Speaking of Desflamega, they have one band called Zhrine, Zhrine. They released an album that's a few years back now, but that was kind of Desflamega-ish that I really liked. And there are some other really good Icelandic black metal bands as well.
Yeah, Mistyming, Audin.
Exactly.
And Solstafir is an example of a band that progressed. They left, of course, the extreme metal, but they're doing something different. Which I think that's, remarkably cool. Because I knew of Solstafir since forever, but it was just one of these names that I had no relationship to. And then Fiara came, and that changed pretty much instantly. Because, awesome song, awesome video. Season of Mist, the right label stuff. Yeah, good on them. Good on them. Swati Dowdy, thank you, Emil. And I'm sorry we haven't been paying attention all the time to the chat, but it's Putre Aeon. Do you guys listen to that if you like ball throw? Yes is the answer from me, but I know some of the boys, so then you get to hear stuff as it is released. But sometimes also stuff happens. Okay, here's confession, but this is like a little bit of a vanity confession. A guy who's a really brilliant guitarist in a band that I really like sent me a song. And it's like, this is inspired by you guys, because I listened to some of your songs and you guys trust your ideas, so you hang on to the riff a little bit longer, and it's a fucking great song. I could never write anything like that, but sometimes things converge and you return to this passion for the music. And sometimes I'm just so fucking tired. I left almost every Facebook group because I'm so tired of being told what's right and wrong when it comes to music I've been listening to since it's fucking 30 years ago. I don't need to be told what is right or wrong. I can listen myself, and you don't have to tell me this is black or death or thrash metal. I think I can figure that out, and I don't care. Well, okay. Ooh, the video we saw with the red actress.
But can I say something? Have we actually gotten a confession from you, Jonas?
It was a semi-confession. Confess, sir, before we put
Confess.
on...
I think it's not much of a confession, but here it goes.
You hate us. You hate me and Carl.
No, you're okay.
Okay, for now.
For now. I think the whole thing that started this live thingy was that I wrote on Facebook that Coil is the only good song from Opeth. Prove me wrong. Which started a shitstorm, and I get it. I don't hate Opeth. I don't. I just don't understand it. I like the last album a bit more than the rest.
Yes.
But Opeth is a weird band. And
what's the name of the cat? Called
True.
True. Okay.
As in True Black Metal. As you see, she has proper corpse paint. So
good.
Yeah.
True Detective.
Yeah, keep on Opething, sir.
Yes.
No, but Opeth is a weird band because when you look at the fans who wear their shirts, you're like, Opeth, really? Because it's quite complicated, and you don't think that the vast majority likes Opeth because it's that complicated, but they do, and I had never really understood that. But I don't need to understand everything, so that's fine. But that led me to the most overrated band through the ages, and I'm gonna get even more shit for this. They started out, or they got famous early 90s, and I still don't understand what's so good with them, but almost every metalhead liked them. So yeah, here it goes. Pantera, I don't understand shit.
It was good knowing you, sir, but
Okay.
I hope you are not going to any gym anytime soon. Grov och Grym Iron Gym. That's off limits for you now, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, confession time. I can absolve you from that because it's fine. I say it's fine that you don't get
exactly.
Pantera.
I mean, taste is like we say in Sweden. Taste is like the ass. It's divided.
Everybody has one. I don't. Okay, so I don't like Pantera either.
Breathe, Johan. Breathe.
Yes. I am not agitated at all because I like Cemetery Gates and I really loved Cowboys from Hell just when it came out because I was like 15 and I had a flannel shirt and it suited my persona. But they never really did it for me because actually they are a little bit too perfect. The rhythm section there is a little bit too perfect for me. And I wanted something different. So they never really cut it for me. Walk, not my perfect... that's not the greatest song I know. And I think it's okay. I understand that Pantera fans love it because they are so special. And I don't buy this that they stole everything from Exorder. They sound very much like Exorder. And I loved Exorder. But Exorder it's a different beast.
Yeah. The sound picture is similar, but Exorder is much more aggressive and faster and
I like Exorder. So that's a proof that it's absolutely not the same at least. But I think also isn't it the punk in you that also don't like bands to become so big and mainstream, and as soon as they do they sort of are no longer yours?
Maybe. I don't know. I think with Pantera it was that
the chat has woken up. Go home. Who is that guy?
It's fine. But Phil Anselmo was the first to cut his hair or shave his hair. And I'm not including Rob Halford here because Rob Halford is long-haired even when he's shaved.
Yeah.
That's Rob Halford.
We all know.
But I was so into the whole long hair thing and the stretch jeans, and here comes Phil Anselmo with his baggy pants and shaved head, and I just couldn't, like, it was so different. I think it changed the whole thrash scene. Like,
I think it did.
Yeah. So I think I very early, this is not for me, and I haven't gotten along with it. And I'm usually quite late, so I will probably understand Ghost in 10 years or so.
I'm starting to understand Ghost now, actually. I mean, that's a confession. But I was, of course, very against Ghost instantly because, first off, well, for fuck's sake.
I kind of like them. I never had anything against them, really.
You're a little bit, more bright person than I am. So that
No, I don't, nothing like that. It's just a matter of taste, I think. And the same thing with if we go back to Opeth, I always loved Opeth, and it's just some things resonate with you.
Yeah, it is.
That's just what it is. Just easy stuff.
And it can be such a small thing. I actually swear not to God, but to gods or the internet beings that I never actually listened to Edge of Sanity until very recently. Of course, I've heard them at parties, but I read an interview with Don Swanö where he said that, we don't have a double kick drums in our band. We have a real drummer.
Yeah, Benny was always using like one foot.
And I was like, what the fuck? This is so pretentious. So that really put me off. So I sort of missed them then. Now when I hear it, I understand. I mean, I've heard them a million times. And Swan is a fucking genius. But that interview didn't didn't really resonate with me when I was 17 or whatever. But so I was like, nah. Then I listened to both of them because they have almost 3 kick drums because they're that good. So I mean, it's small shit like that. So it's a lot of, you know, timing and stuff.
Yeah.
And as always, you know, if somebody doesn't like music you love, it's their loss, and vice versa. I mean,
But to tie the bag together to where we started, we were talking about Tool and bands that are not pushing boundaries. I'm like 15 years too late, but I just recently discovered Mars Volta, and I finally got it. You haven't?
I haven't discovered them yet, but I will check it out, sir.
Yeah, and whenever I like something, I get obsessed with it, and I have to know everything. And apparently, they record like sections of the song. So the instrument, the guys in the band, well, it's not actually a band. They use a lot of session musicians, but the musician only learns a part of the song because the guy who writes all the songs, he's really into movies, and that's how you make movies. Like you shoot one scene and then you shoot another scene, not necessarily in the right order. So that's how they record. So the drummer, for example, never knows the whole song. He just knows his part, and he needs to push himself to do that as good as possible, and then he can do the next part. And I think that's a really interesting way of recording. I don't know how they do it because it has to be really long parts.
Weird.
Yeah.
But interesting.
How do they make the cuts between the parts, especially with drums? That sounds. I mean, if you have the cymbals swinging in between cuts and everything, if you're gonna make a cut, then technically that would be weird if you shuffle them around. Then you always have to hit exactly the same cymbal at the first beat on every part to make the or the last thing have to end with the same thing. No, that would be really weird.
Yeah, but they are very experimental. So I guess they have long breaks or breaks long enough to make the cuts. I guess I haven't really paid attention to it, but it's a really interesting way of writing songs, I think.
Sounds interesting, yeah. But it sounds. I mean, it sounds really hard because you want to don't you want to sort of for example, as a drummer, I used to play drums, and I know other drummers also when we talk about it and when we record that you want to know, for example, you want to know what the vocals are doing, what the bass is doing, so you can sort of accentuate things and play along with other musicians, of course.
Yeah.
If you don't know what the other guys are doing, then you're sort of, it's going to be hard to put everything together into a cohesive whole, because then the drummer might be off doing a role where there should be focus on the vocals and stuff like that. So
yeah, but it seems like in this case the guitar player has everything in his head already finished.
So he's that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, exactly. Always displeased in the studio. No, I had another idea for this part. So this is where the opera come in. Oh, okay. Obviously. Yes. But I think that was a nice confession, and you ended it with a good note that, you know, we should check out stuff. And there are stuff there that's been there forever, and you know about it, but you never start to dig into certain bands. So I mean, at some point, I mean, for instance, Mastodon, I never liked Mastodon because that was, you know, too complicated and advanced. And then I saw a documentary about Crack the Sky where they spoke about the process of the album, and all of a sudden I can't say I'm not a Mastodon fan, but they unveiled enough so even I can start to understand what they are doing, even because it's so different from, you know, a heavy metal pedal and a PV and you know, and a drummer who does his best. And I am so far from that with my own band also, trust me. I mean, we are not innovative as much as we could be, and we go safe and this and that. So I'm not without guilt here. I'm not saying that. But this is not band speaking. This is 3 people speaking. So I guess, and I'm a hypocrite because I mean, it's hard to live as you preach. It's really and
it's really difficult.
And same with me. I'm not saying that I'm doing the most innovative music ever with Diabolical. Far from it. But at least I try to have that in the back of my head. If I want to do like something that sounds like a regurgitated 90s thing for this song, yeah, okay, this is like, for example, Metamorphosis, that song. It was like, okay, this is a Morbid Angel ripoff, and I'm proud of it. So that's basically that's our take on Dominate, basically.
And that's a song you can.
Other times we try to push ourselves to do things that are out of our comfort zone and think about shit. Now we're gonna lose fans, but okay, fuck it.
Yeah. I don't think you erect statues over people who only make safe bets in life, because I think they only write complaints, and they write to the paper complaining. They review other people and they smash them down because that's safe. Doing shit and trying stuff, that's always comes with a risk. Same thing if you sit and do a pod and you speak about shit. Of course somebody will not like what you say. Okay.
I think as long as you're being honest, it doesn't matter what you do. If you play some old regurgitated 90s stuff, or if you try to push the boundaries and play on kitchen stuff or whatever, or have a theremin in a death metal band, whatever. As long as if you're being honest with your art and your music, then you're fine in my book.
I think you can hear that on bands. Like if they do something honest, then it shows.
I think so also.
Yeah.
But is there any band, like I was talking about Voivod before, where I more or less forced myself to like them? Is there any bands for you guys that okay, I haven't gotten into this, but I know I have to like it? Do you have a band like that?
Yes, I have several actually, like on my list, that I know I should like this band, but I haven't. I mean, actually, the Voivod is actually one of those bands. I never got them, but I know they are on that kind of band. I should maybe try more.
Yeah.
I would put Tool there for me, because it's a band I know. I have friends who love everything they ever did, and they can speak for hours, and I like it, but I don't really. It doesn't resonate, and I think it's because I haven't really given it enough time. That's one of these bands.
And that's what I like with some bands, that they take time, because you will appreciate it for like ages. And I think both Tool and Mars Volta was like that for me. They both had like Tool had that song Sober, and I really liked that song, and the video was fucked up.
It's so fucked up. It's it's cool.
But then I didn't understand anything else. It was the same thing with Mars Volta. They had a song called The Widow, which is almost like a rock song. But then the rest was like, how am I ever gonna get into this? So I gave up right away. But 15 years later, here I am.
It's. I think I can admit that Ghost, I like the top hits, but I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get it now. So that's a band that I don't dislike. I don't go around and dislike so much. If I don't like it, I just don't bother so much. But Ghost, I think, eventually will be there, and I will be burning their Spotify tracks a little bit higher to the lists.
And I will probably try to get their first press vinyls and
you should
tear my hair off.
Guys, it's been lovely to have you on board as guests in this 49th episode. Next time is the last episode, and then we will see what happens after that. But so you were in the very beginning, and you are here a year later, so that I'm grateful of.
Is it already over?
It is already over, but we can talk again in real life or online, because
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I will stream more. But as long as we put a topic, like bands we want to get into but we haven't understood, and we can introduce each other. There's stuff to be made. I will end this stream by playing one more track. And I will put it up here, and maybe you can say just a few words about it, Carl.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having us again on your
thank you.
Of course.
On your show, and thank you so much for doing this show, entertaining people in lockdown. That's, I mean, I all credit to you, hat off. I think you've done a great job.
I admire your enthusiasm.
Yeah, very admirable. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. That's great. But
what track are we gonna listen to?
We're gonna listen to Betrayal.
Betrayal. Oh, Betrayal is from our latest album, Eclipse. We are working on new material for those who are interested. We are in the studio right now. There will be things released.
Is this from the album with the skull?
Yeah, this is from the Skull album. It's from.
That's one of the coolest covers I've seen in a long time.
Here, actually.
It's
inverted skull.
So simple.
It's a really nice
cool
album cover. Yeah.
Thank you. I did that together with the photographer Jens Lidén.
Yeah.
Sweden's one of Sweden's best metal photographers.
And nicest people.
And I did the video as well. I produced the video and directed it, and it was fuck ton of work. My computer was rendering for like a month straight because every shot is done individually in After Effects. If I had known how much work it would be to make this video, I wouldn't have done it, but I'm happy I did. It was super creative, super fun. Most of it is filmed on a green screen in a studio. And it shit ton of effects on everything, overlays, and in the beginning, for example, there's a really fun shot. Is in the beginning you see a woman falling, and that's the actress is Dagna, who is also my girlfriend. So I forced her to throw herself on a mattress from
Do
a
it
ladder.
for the art, honey.
Sacrifice yourself for the art. And so she was like, and then we shot it with a high-speed camera, so it looks like she's falling in slow motion. But she, in front of a green screen, she was throwing herself backwards onto a mattress, and we were shooting all night long. So that was in the middle of the night. She was like kind of nervous to do that kind of back jump. To say, fuck, I'm going to the pub. Call me when it's my time to do the shot. So she went to the pub, had a few, and then came back. Yeah, now I'm ready. And then she did it. That's really a really fun shot to do. And enjoyed the video and the song.
Thank you guys, and we wrap it up afterwards. So thank you so much, and see you around. And now let's enjoy some contemporary music, which is also good.